Representatives from Equifax and Yahoo were called to Capitol Hill this morning following a series of high-profile data breaches affecting each company. The Equifax breach, you'll remember, included the private information, including Social Security numbers, of more than 145 million Americans. Yahoo says it was the target of a hack in 2013 that hit 3 billion customer accounts. All of them, every last one of them. In a grilling on the Hill today, it wasn't clear that the companies have tackled the root of the problem. Senator Tammy Baldwin also pressed members of Equifax on how the company has tried to notify customers affected. Take a listen.
Equifax set up a poorly functioning process where people would have to go to the Equifax website to find out if they were impacted. How many people have gone through this process?
We have, as Mr. Smith mentioned on his statement last time, we had close to, the initial, for a period of time, we have close to 400 million hits.
Do you know how many individuals?
30 million individuals have.
30 million?
30 million, yeah.
Out of 145 million.
Wow. That's the number of people who have actually reached out to do this. That's telling. Senator Tammy Baldwin joins me now. She called for today's hearing. Senator, frustrating to listen to that hearing. It really was, because there were some apologies. We're well past apology stage at this point with 145 million people affected on the Equifax side. I was kind of fascinated that a couple days ago, on November 3rd, a special independent committee set up by Equifax's board cleared them of any wrongdoing, cleared the 4 executives involved with any wrongdoing. These are the ones who sold their shares after the company became aware of the data breach. They concluded there was no insider trading and that pre-clearance was appropriately obtained. I guess I hope they're right on that, because they're not handling the rest of this very well.
You know, on that particular point, I pressed them with questions, and why was this an inside evaluation rather than getting some outside eyes to look at whether their executives acted appropriately in selling stocks before the price of those stocks went down upon the public disclosure of the 145 million person breach. There is more follow-up to do, but my greatest concern, of course, is the nearly 2/3 of all adult Americans whose Social Security numbers, addresses, financial information, names, etc., have been breached, have been hacked. Who has that? What do they intend to do? And what is Equifax doing to protect those individuals who never gave Equifax permission to collect that data? And yet that's how Equifax makes its money, off of having that data. And so I think I'd like to see Equifax step up on its own, but since we're not seeing that, I really think the Senate has to step up, and there's a number of really important things we need to do to protect our constituents.
So this is interesting. Stephanie Ruhle and I were talking about this morning, that these hearings can be frustrating, and some people, get a soundbite out of it for campaigns. But what can the Senate actually do? Are you even clear on what the jurisdiction is that you can have? It is kind of a remarkable relationship with these credit bureaus that I have no choice in the matter. They make their money off of my information, and I don't get paid anything for it, but they can lose my information and cost me lots of money and aggravation.
Yes, so number one, I believe that the Senate must act to require companies that experience a breach or a hack of this nature to inform the people whose information was hacked, so that they can take the next appropriate steps. You ran the coverage of my questions to the executives about how many people on their own had wandered to their website to learn whether they were impacted by this. But I asked a yes or no question. Will you directly reach out to every person affected to the best of your ability? And I got not a yes or no answer, but obfuscation. I got a long-winded response of where states have passed laws, we'll do it. Where
why would that have anything to do with it?
Because they said they're going to follow the law. Well, we have a patchwork quilt of laws regarding notification when your personal identifying financial and other information has been breached. We need a national law. We need a national standard. After breach after breach after breach, some revealing very sensitive information, we need to have a national standard so everyone knows what to do. And that standard ought to be to let everybody who's been impacted know so that they can protect themselves. And then the follow novel one, of course, is giving consumers more power in controlling what these companies do with their financial and other sensitive personal information.
I have a lot of experience on the financial side of things, and I had great trouble getting to these websites and figuring out what exactly I'm supposed to do and what a credit freeze is versus this, and this is all I do all day. You also had trouble. This hearing had Marissa Mayer from Yahoo, who initially didn't even want to come. She had to be subpoenaed. I understand she came of her own volition, not as a result of the subpoena. But part of this is about not having to always be about the law. It needs to be about doing the right thing.
There's no question about that. And frankly, when you think about the type of information that these companies have about Americans, they need to do more proactively to be certain that their data cannot be breached. We learned a lot of things about Equifax in particular. They didn't encrypt their data. It was plain text. You might as well, hand it to folks. That is so irresponsible in my mind. And then in terms of the details of this particular hack, they were informed that there was a vulnerability in some of the software they were using.
And they didn't patch it.
Because of human and technical failures, they didn't patch it. All of this could have been prevented if they had followed protocols. Should be standard in the industry.
Yeah, and the worst part is that however tens of millions of people who don't even know whether they've been affected or how they've been affected, and they'll go to get a mortgage or they'll go to get a car, and then they'll find out, and then they'll enter into a year or two of difficulty to try and extract themselves from it at great cost to themselves. Senator, thank you for calling the hearing, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Senator Tammy